Warm welcome to all the students for this lecture. Today we shall see various topics. We shall see what are tokens, data types, typecasting, and how data is input from the keyboard and how it is displayed on the computer screen in Java. So let us start by talking about Java tokens. Now, what are tokens? Tokens are the smallest possible elements in a Java program. Now, in Java, there are different tokens. You have reserved words, okay, or we also call them as keywords, okay. Then you have identifiers, or sometimes you also call them as variables. You have literals, and they can be called as constants. You have operators, and operators work on different identifiers. And finally we have separators, separators are sometimes also referred to as delimiters and so on, right? So before beginning with our discussion of Java tokens, let us see what is Java character set. Please note that in Java we use 16-bit character coding system. And that character coding system is called as Unicode. Okay. Now this Unicode, it supports around 34,000 different defined characters from across 24 languages from America, Europe, Middle East, Asia, Africa. Okay. So it has a provision to support almost 34,000 different defined characters, right? But since we have come from the background of C or C++ and we are used to this ASCII system, so our discussion will be using only the ASCII characters. But note that the languages such as Chinese, Hindi and all the characters, they are also supported by Java character set. Now let's start with the very first token, and that's called as reserved word or keyword. So let's start with the first one. Now in Java you will find nearly 50 keywords. Okay. Now these words, they have specific meaning in Java. For example, you must have already studied something like if. If is a keyword, else is a keyword, right? For is a keyword, while is a keyword, and so on. We have seen in the previous examples, we had a static, public, void. These are all keywords, right? So these words, they have specific meanings in Java. So remember that they cannot be used as variable names or class names or method names and so on. You should be careful. Second, the convention, it says that these keywords, they are always written in lowercase only. So keywords, remember that keywords are always written in lowercase. Okay. Now after keywords we have something called as identifiers. Now what are identifiers or variables? You can think about identifier as a placeholder of some value. Okay. It is some container, right? So they are basically also called as variables, right? Now there are some naming conventions that we have to follow while declaring the identifiers. Let's quickly see the naming conventions. Okay, so I will write here identifier, naming convention, or you can say the rules, or in a better way I will not say convention, I will say naming rules. Right? The first rule, remember that your identifiers or variables can be composed from alphabets, okay, then different numbers from 0 to 9, okay, or digits you can say. There is also special underscore, okay, or you can even include a dollar sign. Okay, so basically identifiers can be composed from alphabets, numbers, underscore, dollar, by combining these, right? But a very important thing you should remember is any identifier must not begin with a digit. Or must not begin with a number. Okay, this is a very important rule. Third, identifier. Now remember that identifiers and variables, they are basically case sensitive. Okay, and since they are case sensitive, example, total where T is capital and total where T is small are different from each other. Right? Then fourth convention or rule is that identifiers can be of any length. Okay? Identifier can be of any length. Now in C or C++, there were some restriction to the identifiers, right? Now remember, fifth very important point is identifier or a variable, it cannot be a keyword. It cannot be a keyword, and remember that in identifiers declaration, white spaces should not be allowed. So whenever you are naming any identifier, okay, or variable you call it, okay, you should follow these naming rules. These are called as rules. They are compulsory. Now these identifiers, they are basically used for naming different classes, methods, variables, object labels, and so on. Right? Now one rule that the programmers of Java they follow is that these identifiers, they must be meaningful. Right? Suppose suppose you are representing a simple interest. So instead of saying that a variable, instead of declaring a variable like this, A, where you cannot make out what A is, okay, instead of naming it like this, you can name it as float simple, something like this, float simple interest or something like this. So that's more readable, right? So this is one thing. Second, the convention says that identifier should be short enough so that you can, if you require it to be typed again and again, it should be convenient to you, right? It should be short enough so that if it is used again and again in the program, typing should not be problematic. Okay? And third very important thing is it should be long enough to be descriptive. Right? For example, instead of, suppose you want to represent simple interest, instead of writing SI, it is better that you write simple underscore interest or something like that. Right? So it should be long enough so that it becomes descriptive. Now let us go to some naming conventions that the Java programmers use. Now the difference between rule and convention, I had written here convention first. Rule means these things are compulsory, you should follow it. Convention means a style of coding, right? So let us see what are the different naming conventions. that are followed by different Java programmers. Note, conventions are not compulsory things, they are the different styles that are used by the programmers. Okay, now the very first naming convention is that remember, names of all the public methods okay, and instance variables these are the variables that are declared within the class, and object gets one copy each of such variable. So remember, all the public methods in the class or all the instance variables within the class, okay, they should start with lowercase, okay, while declaring they should start with lowercase, okay, alphabet or letter, right? For example, one instance variable is say average, so I will be writing it like this, average, or say sum, I will be writing it like this. So that means they should start with the lowercase. For example, I have suppose a public method, okay, say public void say get data. So in that G will be small case, get underscore data or something like this. So this is a naming convention that we follow. Okay. Now there is another thing to it. See, when more than one word is supposed to be used in a name. Okay. Suppose you want to store a variable name. Okay. It says simple interest. So in this, what happens is, in the name there are more than words, more than one words that I use. Okay. So the convention that the programmers follow is that the second and subsequent words, they are marked with the leading uppercase letters. For example, if let's say the name of the variable is day of the month. Now there are 4 words. Day is one word, of, the, and month. As per the convention, your instance variable or public method, they should start with small case. So how I will write day, d small. This is one word, day of the month. So now second word which is there, it should start with capital O. Okay, then third word, that is the, T can start with capital. Day of the, and month is the fourth word, so M can be capital. So this whole thing is a one variable, day of the month, right? You don't have to put underscore in between. You can just use this convention. So whenever you are naming a variable naming, it should start with a small case letter. And if there are more than one words in a variable, then each subsequent word, that is second word, third word, fourth word, it should begin with capital alphabet like this, right? Similarly, suppose I want to store employee ID, I can write it as employee. Second word is ID, so I will be capital and D will be small. Okay, so this is the convention that we follow. Then this is all for public and instance variables. Now second, if you have private variables, so for private and local variables, okay. So remember that for public methods and instance variables, within a variable, one of the letter, or if there are more than one words, the beginning letter of that particular word, it can be capital. But if your variable that you are declaring is a private variable or it's a local variables are all the variables that you are declaring within a method, okay, within a function. So all these local variable, they should use only small case or lower case letters combined with underscore. Okay, so private and local variables, they can only use lowercase, so there is no combination of upper and lowercase, so they only use lowercase letters, plus if there are more than one words, you can use underscore to separate those words. For example, if you have a local variable or private variable that stands for, say, batch strength of the student in a particular batch. So I can write it as batch underscore s small strength. Okay, so there is no alphabet that is being used inside of capital letter. There is no capital alphabet that is used. All are small case alphabets, and the words are separated with underscore. So this convention they follow when you have a private variable or a local variable, that is the variable that are declared within the methods or functions in the class. Okay. Third naming convention that we follow is for classes, class declaration, classes. Then there are also something called as interfaces. Okay, so classes and interfaces, they always start with leading uppercase letter. Uppercase letter. Fine. And suppose there are more than one words in that particular name. Okay, then the subsequent word okay, it starts with lead, uppercase character or uppercase letter. Okay, so suppose I want to create a class called as Hello Java. Now there are two words. So what I will do, see, classes interfaces, they always start with a capital alphabet. So H will be capital, hello. And suppose there are more than one words in that class name, then the second, third, whichever word we have, all those words, they will begin with a capital alphabet. So after hello, J will be capital. Right? So this is how a class can be written, Hello Java. Right? So first symbol capital. Okay, and if there are more than one word, so in the second word or third word, the first letter is also capital. Okay. Then the fourth naming convention which the programmers follow is regarding the variables that represent constants. Okay. So for the variables, okay, that represent constants, I am talking about something called as symbolic constants. What we do, we use, okay, all uppercase letter, we use all uppercase letters, and if there are words, more than one words, then you can use underscore between the words. Okay, example for this, suppose I want to say principal amount. So I say right. So this is how the naming convention is to be followed for the variables that represent constants. These are nothing but they are called as symbolic constants. We shall see this later, right? So this is all about the literals. Okay, this is all about something called as identifiers. Now let us move on to the next. After seeing the identifiers, next is the literals or the constants themselves. So next we will see the literals in Java. Okay, so now what is a literal? Literal is basically sequence of characters. It could be combination of some digits, letters or other characters So it is basically sequence of characters that represent constant values to be stored in variable. Now the difference between the constant and variable is what? A value is called as a constant if it does not change throughout the lifetime of a program. It never changes. Even if you try to change, it will not change. So that's a constant value. Variable is basically a container that can hold different values at different times in the lifetime of a program. So this is the main difference. Whereas variables are also called as identifiers, the constants that are stored in those variables, that is basically literal. Okay, so now in Java there are different literals. You have integer literal, okay, you have floating point literal, then you have character literal, you have a string literal, you have boolean literal, and you have null literals. So we shall see all these literals further. Okay, so I'll be talking about literals or something called as constants, right? So what is a constant? As I've just told you, constant is nothing but these are the fixed values that do not change during the execution of programs. Now let us see what are the different types of constants available in Java. Okay, types of constants available in Java. First, we have something called as integer constants. Okay, we have something called as integer constants. Now, integer constants internally they are of three types. Okay, integer constants they are internally of three types. You have something called as decimal. Okay, decimal integers. You have something called as octal integers, and you have something called as hexadecimal, right? Hexadecimal integers. Now from Java 1.7 onwards we have another category that we call it as binary literals. Okay, so these are the main different kind of constant: binary, hexadecimal, octal and decimal. Now what are decimal integers? Decimal integers, okay, they are basically set of digits from 0 to 9, decimal numbers, right? Now decimal they consist of the numbers from 0s to 9, any combination, and preceded by an optional minus sign. So example of decimal number or decimal integer constant is say minus 123, where there is optional minus sign, or something like 320, something like 65, 4, 3, 2, 1 and so on. So these are the examples of decimal constants. Okay, now remember that space, comma or non-digit characters, they are not allowed in decimal integers. Let us next go to the octal. Okay, now octal, any combination of digits from 0 to 7, total 8. Okay, and there should be a leading 0, right? So for example of octal number, suppose I want to represent an octal number, it will start with this followed with 37. So octal digit, or something like 551, right? Or say 435, you can say octal value 435 and so on. So these are the ways how we can define the octal constants, right? So remember, octal numbers are from 0 to 7 and all of them, all the octal numbers, they have a leading 0 attached, right? Leading 0 is there. That is octal number. Next comes hexadecimal numbers. So hexadecimal actually they have the alphabets from 0 to 9. I mean the numbers from 0 to 9. Okay, 0 to 9 digit, plus you have alphabets from A to F. Right? So these are the hexadecimal numbers. And in Java, you can define a hexadecimal number. Okay, you can define a hexadecimal number if the digits are preceded by 0x and followed with the number, say 0x2 or 9f or B, B, C, D and so on. These are the examples of hexadecimal numbers, right? Then let us talk about the binary literals. Binary literals are they are used to store binary numbers. Now here the prefix, so binary means what? Either 0 or 1. These are the only two values. So here the prefix that is being used is 0B or 0B. So this is a prefix used for binary. Again see, this B here is case insensitive. That means you can either write capital B or small b without changing the meaning. For example, if you want to store a binary number, say int n1 is equal to, suppose the binary number is, so I write 0b and then 01 01 10. So this is how you can represent a binary number with a leading 0b. Here it is leading 0x, here it is leading 0. Okay, so this is how your integer constants, different types of integer constants can be represented. Also please note that if you have numeric literals, okay, in Java this is a special capability. In case of numeric literals, okay, suppose you have a large integer number, right? So to enhance the readability of such large integer number, okay, you can use an underscore in between for readability. For example, if you want to store say 1000, usually we use comma, but I told you that comma is not allowed. So to enhance the readability of such numbers in Java, you can, in place of this comma, you can put underscore. So you can write it like this: int 1 is a variable name of type integer. So 1000 can be then written as, so in place of this comma, separator comma, I am just using underscore. Similarly, suppose I want to represent a very big number, say long end, suppose long, say number, a very big number, say 1 underscore 3 zeros, then again underscore 3 zeros, underscore again 3 zeros, and L. Now this L is a notation, I will shortly talk about it. L is a notation that is used to represent the long integers, right? So this is just one feature that is being added. So numeric literals with large big numeric literals, okay, just for the readability, we can use, in place of comma, we can use underscore. Okay. Now after seeing the integer constants, let us go to the second type of constants in Java, and that we call it as real constants. So next category is real constants. Real numbers are nothing but they are the fractional numbers. So real numbers basically contains fraction. Example of real number is something like 0.008 or something like minus 0.75 or something like 435.36 and so on. So these are examples of real numbers, right? So real numbers basically they contain fraction. So real constants, sometime a number may not have digits before the decimal point. For example, many a times, you may just write, suppose I want to represent 0.95. Okay, this can be also written as 0.95. It is understood that if I write 0.95, it means 0.95. So sometimes a real number may not have anything before the decimal point, or many a times your number may not have anything after the decimal point. For example, if I want to store 215.0, you may also store it like this, 215 and dot. So it simply means that after dot there is 0. This simply means that before dot there is 0. So this is how sometimes they can be written. Now real number may also be expressed in exponential or scientific form, right? Now exponential or scientific form, if you can recall, it has mantissa, okay, and it has exponent, right? It has mantissa and it has exponent. Fine. Now what is mantissa? Mantissa, okay, it is basically a real number, okay, which is expressed in decimal notation. Okay, that is mantissa, or sometimes it can be just an integer. And what is exponent? Exponent is basically, okay, it is an integer with optional plus or minus sign. Right? So also this E here, okay, you can just see this E here, it basically notifies that it is base 10. For example, if I want to represent 0.65 into 10 raised to minus 6, this can be written, okay, in the format like this, 0.65, okay, in place of 10 raised to I can write capital E or small e, okay, and then the exponent is minus 6, so I can simply write minus and 6. So this is the equivalent of the scientific notation, right? So this is how the real constants are there in Java. Fine. Real constants are basically the values that are assigned to variables. They are the constants are basically the values that are assigned, okay, the value that cannot change. Okay, the variable can change its value, but the constants cannot change. 2 will always remain 2. 2 cannot be 3. Right? So these are numbers, they are constants. Okay, so this is a real constant. Third type of constant is basically called as character constant, right? And we have a single character constant. Single character constant. Now this single character constant, they are always enclosed in single quotes. An example of single character constant could be something like 5, where when you enclose 5 in single quotes, it is not a number 5 but it becomes a character 5, right? Similarly X, alphabet X, or sometimes something like punctuation marks like semicolon, something like semicolon can be used, right? Some punctuation marks like semicolon can be used, or sometimes when only the single quotes are used, this means it's a empty or null string, and so on. So these are single character constants. And finally we have string constants. Right? Now string constants are enclosed with double quotes. Okay. Now valid characters in any string can be alphabet, numbers, blank, special characters, or any combination of that. An example of the string constants are something like, say, hello, Java with a space in between, or something like 5 plus 3, and many a times it could be even a blank string or null string, and so on. So these are the examples of your string constants. After string constants we have backslash constants. Okay, backslash constants are also called as escape sequences. And in Java, okay, they have kept the same escape sequences as what we had seen in C or C++. So the escape sequences are backslash b, which is used for backspace. Okay, then backslash n is for new line. Backslash t is for horizontal tab. Backslash f is for form field. Backslash r is for carriage return. Then if you want to print backslash itself, then you will have to write 2 backslashes. This will print backslash. And then if you want to print a double quote, write a slash, then double quote, and then, so this will be printing double quote. And for single quote, backslash, single quote, this will print single quote. So these are the different escape sequences in Java. Now we shall go to the next concept, that is data types in Java. Now let us see broad categorization. So in Java, any data type, okay, it is divided into something called as a primitive data type, primitive data type, which is also called as intrinsic, and you have non-primitive or derived data type. Okay, now your primitive data types in Java, they are either categorized as numeric data type and non-numeric data type. Whereas the non-primitive or derived data type, they are of 3 types. You have arrays, okay, you have classes, and you also have something called as interfaces. So these are the 3 derived data types in Java. As far as numeric data types are concerned, they are of 2 types. You have something called as integer data type, and you have something called as floating point data type. Whereas non-numeric data types are of 2 types. You have a character data type and you have a Boolean data type. So these are broad categorization of all the possible data types which are there in Java. Let us first see the integer data type. Now in Java, the integer data types, there are 4 types. Okay, you have something called as a byte, then you have short, you have something called as int, and you have something called as long. So there are 4 types, integer data types. Now let's see different types, their sizes, their min and max value. Okay, so type, their size, their mean value and their max value. Okay, now the first data type, first integer data type is called as byte, and the size is exactly 1 byte. Okay, the minimum value is -128, whereas the maximum value is 127. Then we have short integer. Okay, the size is 2 bytes. Minimum value is -32768 and maximum value is 32767. Then you have int data type. The size is 4 bytes. The minimum value is -2147 483 648 and the maximum value is 2147 483 647. And finally we have long data type, which is of 8 bytes. Maximum size is minimum size is -9223 372 036 854, 777 808. Such a big huge number, and the maximum size is 9223 372 036 854 777 and 807. So such a huge number as max and mean value. Now for long integers there are some convention that you need to follow. Now for long integers we append capital L or small l at the end of the value. Okay, for example, if I want to say long integer 123 is a long integer, I will be writing 123L or 123L. Okay, now how to declare the variable? I say long, okay, value equal to 65437L. This L can be capital or small. Now this is for long integer. Now for short integers, okay, for short integers we append small s. Okay, for example, if I want to say that num2 is a short integer variable storing 300 in short, so I will be writing it like this, 300s. Small case s, it means it's a short integer. Similarly, for representing byte, okay, we can use y. For example, if I want to say byte num1 equal to say 30y. So this y means it's a byte. So this is all about the integers. Okay, next data type B, it's a floating point data type, or floating point numbers. Floating point numbers. Now in Java, your floating point numbers they are divided as float and double. Now this float data type is a single precision, and double is a double precision. Usually a floating point variable has 7 to 8 digits, significant digits after decimal point. Okay, it has 7 to 8 significant digits after decimal point, whereas when you have a double number, it has 15 digits, significant digits after decimal point. Fine. Now remember that by default floating point numbers are treated as a double precision numbers. In Java, by default, every floating point number is treated as a double precision number, right? So, to force them to be single precision, we use f, small f or capital F at the end of that particular value. For example, in Java, if I want to say that a particular number is a floating point number, I will say it like this: float, say num equal to 1.23 f. This f signifies that it's a single precision number. So I am forcing the number to be a single precision number, because by default in Java every floating point number is a double precision number. So by writing this f, I am telling the compiler that it's a single precision number, right? So you can write here capital F or small f, anything, right? Now let us see the types, their sizes and mean and max value. So as I have told you, in floating point numbers we have float data type and we have a double data type. Now if you talk about the size, float takes 4 bytes of memory, double takes exactly double, that is 8 bytes of memory. Minimum value for floating point is 3.4 e raised to minus 038, whereas maximum value for floating point number is 1.7 e plus 038. For double, again 3.4 e minus 038. Okay, and the minimum value is this, and maximum value is 1.7 e plus 038. Okay, now one more thing that you need to note is, okay, in Java the floating point data type, it supports a special value which is called as NaN, and NaN, it stands for not a number. This is very important. right? So NaN or not a number is a special value that is supported by floating point data type. So NaN or not a number is basically used to represent the results of operations such as say divide by 0, where an actual number is not produced. So NaN is a you can say it's basically a special value. It is used in case of places where you get something like infinity, just to denote that it is undefined or something. They have come up with a special value called as NaN. So especially when you have say divide by 0 and all, okay, the result of this will be shown as NaN instead of not defined. Okay, so this is also a special value. So this is all about the numeric data types. Now let us talk about the non-numeric data types. Speaking about the non-numeric data types in Java, there are two types of non-numeric data types. You have something called as a character or char, and you have something called as Boolean data type. Now the character data type, okay, the character data type is represented using char keyword. Okay, if you talk about its size, it takes 2 bytes of storage. Okay, and it is basically used to hold a single character. Next, when you talk about Boolean data type, fine, the data type is written as Boolean only. Fine. If you talk about the size, it takes 1 bit storage. Fine. And the values taken by Boolean data type are true and false. Okay, remember that in C++ or in C, okay, true means true and false, they had mapping values of 0 and 1, right? 1 means true, 0 means false, something like that. In Java, that mapping is not there. So explicitly you are going to use a Boolean data type and you are going to use a word called as true or a word called as false, right? So this is Boolean data type. Now where this Boolean data type will be used? In all comparison operators. Okay, all comparison operators, they return Boolean types. And they are also used in some selection and iteration statements and so on. Okay, so that is it for today's lecture. Thank you.